Hey there, Brian here with Fellow. Today's coffee drop features Red Rooster Coffee's holiday gift box. You're going to get 3 different coffees that come in this absolutely fancy looking box. And of course, each of the bags of coffee are going to have this holographic design. I really like that Red Rooster has picked basically the whole spectrum of what coffee can taste like. You have your more fruity, upfront in your face red fruit coffee, which is this Colombian. You have this more standard sweet coffee, which is this Sumatran. When people think about coffee, they probably are thinking about something like this. And then you have a very interesting pick, in my opinion, which is this Ethiopian, which is more of a tea floral-like, which is, to a lot of people, they don't really think coffee can taste like tea, and this is kind of going to be that first introduction. I'll show you how to brew each of them, but for me, my favorite one is going to be this Colombian. I personally really like this fruity, upfront in your face, strawberry note. I really like that, especially in my pour-over coffee. For something like espressos, I'm actually picking something more standard, like the Sumatran, which is basically, when I think of an espresso, I kind of think of, well, a more comforting chocolate cup, and I feel like this Sumatran does a great job. This probably would also work very well as a cold brew, or if you were looking to use it in something more of like a drip machine or more of a standard pour over, just like, hey, I just want coffee, but I want good tasting coffee. That's going to be the Sumatran. And if you want something more complex and quite interesting to brew with, like experiment with all the different brewing techniques, I think this Ethiopian is a great choice because it is more of that jasmine tea floral style of coffee, which I know a lot of you like, but I think this is going to be a great introduction for people who have never tasted coffee that is, well, more floral and tea-like. So this is a great choice. Now I'm going to show you how to brew each of these. I'll just be doing pour-overs for these, and I'll be putting my espresso recipes in the description below. All right, so let me show you how to brew the Colombia, since this is my favorite. So I'm going to be using 20 grams on the Ode, and I'm going to be using setting around 2, which is sort of finer, and I'm going to be using a Stagg dripper. So this is the roast level of the coffee, and I'm going to be grinding it to be sort of fine, really more closer towards the finer end on Ode. I would try with around 2, 1 to 2 if you're using a Stagg dripper. It really depends on what you're aiming for, but I'm going to be doing 20 grams in, and I'm going to just only be going up to 300 grams. And if you haven't done this before, I would totally recommend you use a spray bottle, spray some water onto your beans, give it a shake, and this helps get rid of a lot of static in your grinding experience. Your 20 grams of coffee in, and give your bed here a little bit of a shake to level all the grounds, like so. All right, and what I am going to do, tear out the scale, begin timing, and pour in concentric circles slowly until you hit 40 grams. Okay, give it a slight agitation, and I like to let this bloom for about 30 to 45 seconds. Next, I'm going to pour up to 150, then I'm going to do 3 50-gram slow pours. And then I'm just going to let that drain down. Then I'm going to pour 3 50-gram pours. All right, so once that is basically drained down, I'm going to pour in 3 50-gram pours, but I just kind of like the slightly tighter ratio with this coffee because I really enjoy those red fruit notes. And then I'm going to pour in another 50 when this is done. And then I'm going to give it a final agitation. Okay. Give it a swirl. Get that even bed at the end. And after that drains down, you will be good to go. So I took out the beans for the Sumatra. As you can see, they're kind of more of a medium light as well, but I feel like with these, because we don't have to emphasize crazy fruit notes, we can actually drop our temperature a little bit. So I'm actually going from 205 to 200. So I'm definitely still on sort of the finer end of the grind size, but it really works out because we're dropping our temperature to 200.
Of course, please play around with the different grind sizes. These are, again, baseline recipe. Going to pour in 40 grams for our initial bloom. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a nice little agitation. Then let that bloom for 30 to 45 seconds. Then I'm going to add up to 60 grams, pour to 100. All right, once that drains down, I'm going to pour another 100 to 200. All right, and then I'm pouring in my final 100 grams. And at the end of this, all I have to do is give it a little bit of an agitation. Help distribute and level the grounds. All right, so this is the final coffee. This is the Ethiopia Wush Wush, which I think is the most complex coffee out of the bunch. And for this, I'm going to be doing 20 grams in, 340 out, and I'm going to be grinding basically the finest the Ode can do. And I'm going to be brewing at 208 degrees Fahrenheit. 40 grams bloom. Going to give it a shake towards the end of this pour. Then what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to keep it kind of simple, and I'm just going to pour in 100, another 100, and then another 100. So we're going to end up at 340 at the end. So 20 in, 340 out. But I'm actually going to let this bloom for a whopping 1 minute. You can even try experimenting with blooming all the way up to 2 minutes. I'm going to pour in my 100 grams. I'm going to try to pour fairly slowly. Give it a slight agitation. It's because there's sometimes coffee grounds stuck in the edges there. Then finally, our final 100 gram pour. All the way up to 340. Once that final step drains through, I'm finding this longer ratio recipe works great for just to be able to taste like so many of the complex notes that this coffee has. But yeah, that's how you brew all of these 3 coffees.
So I hope that was fun watching me brew all of these in pour overs. Again, I think this is such a great selection of coffees. Really show you how coffee can actually taste. And I like that it all comes in these really nice looking bags in one fancy looking box. But that's all I wanted to show you guys today. If you have any questions with brewing, or if you have any questions on recipes, drops, ordering, all of that, please let us know in the comments below or text us back. We're here to help. But as always, thank you for spending the time to watch a video. My name is Brian, and I hope you enjoyed watching today's video.